this opportunity, you can find out more and get more details. So again, for anybody who doesn't know me on the call, I'm Jahan Thompson, the founder and CEO of Swivel Beauty. We're a platform that's focused on helping Black women connect with the best hairstylist for their hair type and texture, natural or relaxed. Now that the pandemic is more behind us, we're focused on expanding across the country this year. So we've been primarily in the New York area, but are really excited to finally take Swivel nationwide. And one of the things that we love to do is provide the stylists in our network with amazing opportunities to grow their businesses from behind the chair or behind the chair, however you want to take your business in the future. We want to help. And so I connected with Tiana and Solange, the founders of Bell Bar Organic, a few years ago. They make these amazing products. They've used Swivel as customers, and now they are moving into the area of their business, which includes private labeling and manufacturing. And so they've already learned all of the lessons of building their own brand and doing this for their own company. And now they're opening it up to other budding entrepreneurs who want to create their own product lines, but want to do it, especially in a way where you don't have to have a huge order quantity to start. You're figuring it out. They've really thought through really smart ways to do it for small businesses. So we put together this free webinar so you could hear about their offering. If you're interested in learning more, taking advantage of it, they can answer all of those questions. I'm going to let them take it from here. I think this is going to be a super informational afternoon. I think this should go for about like an hour or so. Tiana, you can fill everyone in on how long this will be. But if you're thinking about starting your own product line, these women have done it. So they can certainly provide you with a lot of great insights on how to get it done. All right, Tiana, I will send it over to you.
Thank you, Jihan. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to just introduce myself first, and then my sister probably will jump in right after. So I'm Tiana from Bell Bar Organic, and now also brownsugarbeauty.co. And essentially, we launched our D2C hair care line. Well, it originally started off as skincare and hair care line about 4.5 years ago. And we learned a lot of lessons, a ton, everything from marketing operations to product development, formulations, licenses, financing, all of the things that goes into building a brand. And as we went through COVID, essentially, just like everyone else, we had to pivot certain things and take what we learned and see really what we wanted to do and how we can, I guess, show up better for our audience and for our customers. And we realized that not only are Black women or women of color specifically looking for beauty products, but there's a whole other segment of us that started our own businesses that need that extra like bridge in between going from making it in your own kitchen to using a manufacturer producing 25,000 SKUs at a time. And for us, essentially, it was really difficult because we also needed to cross that same bridge, and it doesn't leave you with a lot of options. So we came up with this idea, and we utilizing all of the tools in our basket, and we decided to share it with other entrepreneurs. So myself in the business, I pretty much do everything digital. I'm all of the marketing, branding, creative, all of those things. I run those departments, and my sister is head of operations, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm Solange Bell. As Tiana said, I am head of operations. I handle all of the production, the manufacturing, and fulfillment for Bell Bar, and as well as our new company that we're going into right now. All of the HR, finance, everything back of the house, that's what I'm doing. Everything Tiana's doing is like front facing. I'm doing everything, all the paperwork in the back. And then we have a third owner, our mother, who does all of the product development. So she's created every recipe that we've ever had, and for the most part has made every recipe by hand, especially from the beginning, made it by hand. So it's the three of us that are doing this.
Great. So just some quick housekeeping things. We know probably there will be questions. So we want you guys to utilize the reaction button at the bottom of your screen in the Zoom chat. There's a button that says reaction, and there's a hand raising button. So please utilize that button, and then we will unmute you. We're gonna do a Q&A section at the end. That's about 30 minutes long. So we'll try to get to everyone. as best we can. But instead of stopping and starting, we're just going to wait to all the questions to the end. So if you have a question, please just utilize that hand raise feature, and then just write your question down if you're afraid that you're going to miss it. So from here, I think we're going to just jump straight into our presentation. The way that it works, we're going to talk a bit about private labeling, what it is, what's manufacturing, and then what our offerings are, those things, as well as then going a bit into marketing your line, and then as well as the operation, some key operational pieces that you need to sell your own line. As we've started talking to customers for our new company, we realized that not only were they looking for product, they were also looking for a little bit of assistance of like how to sell this product, actually how to have this product make money for them. So we decided to include that information as well. So I'm gonna jump straight into it, and I hope you guys find this extremely helpful. Just let me share my screen with you. And here we go. And okay. So this is our new company that we recently started, brownsugarbeauty.co. What's really different about what we're doing is that we are plant-based and a waterless beauty private label and manufacturing. What's unique about that is that it's very similar to our D2C brand, Bell Bar Organic, is that none of our products actually hold water inside of them. So that way we can keep it completely non-toxic, completely organic, chemical-free. That way it's truly green for the customer. It truly is a holistic experience. That was something that was very important to us when building our brand. And this is something that we wanted to do as well moving forward. All of the products that we're making are actually made next to our products. So we wanted to make sure that all of the standards are the same. So basically here, our new company we're specializing in producing low minimum orders for clients looking for plant-based waterless beauty products. And that brings us to what is private label. So there sometimes is a bunch of confusion around private labeling versus manufacturing versus customization, et cetera, et cetera. So we're gonna walk you through it a little bit. What are some key components of private labeling is one, minimal investment to launch. When you're customizing your own products, Solange, do you wanna walk them a bit through like some of the things needed if you're customizing your own recipe?
Yeah, sure. A lot of times when you are customizing your own recipe or working with a company that's going to do it for you, it's a much larger investment. You're going to need a lot more capital and it takes a lot more time. Typically, and I know this because we try to go through the process of having somebody at one point do our formulas and create our products for us. Typically, the turnaround is about 8 months, and that's a good turnaround time. So you're looking at about 8 to 12 months to even get your product in hand. And with all of that, each one, you're looking at an investment of maybe like about $8,000 to maybe up to $25,000 per SKU. Right. So we really wanted to get out of that and really give other people the chance of being able to order much smaller amounts and much smaller minimums. So that way it was actually doable and you were able to actually either start your business or expand your business. That made sense.
Yeah, typically private labeling even will start, their SKUs can start somewhere between 500 to 1,000 SKUs, which is still considered very small in manufacturing. With BBO, we're starting even lower than that so that the investment, you really can invest and test before you decide on what to sell. Is your customer actually going to buy? What different kind of products or different kinds of solutions should you be using? That was really important to us because that was something that affected us during our journey. So we really wanted to be able to solve that problem. We did see when we asked a couple of questions, some people confuse private labeling with being able to customize completely. Solange, do you want to tell them a bit about what exactly private label is?
Yes, so private labeling is essentially like a private label company like ours, we have created recipes that are standard for us, and then other companies or individuals, they're able to come purchase them, rebrand them, and then they're able to be resold. So essentially, you're buying already made products that you're able to customize for your brand, and it won't look the same as someone else's as far as like your branding, your labeling, and things like that. But you guys are essentially selling the same products, but without going through the headache of creating your own product from scratch.
Okay. And with private labeling, what is the product development lead time versus if you were customizing your own?
Yeah. So again, with that, if you were customizing your own, it can take anywhere from 8 to 12 months lead times. And then with us, it's zero lead time because everything is already made. You're just, purchasing the product, and then we're going through the production stage to get it ready to ship out to you, which would take about 4 to 8 weeks versus the 8 to 12 months.
And with private, when it comes to who owns the formula, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So again, with private labeling, because we are offering this to any reseller and things like that, we own the recipes. Again, if you wanted to own one, you would have to then create this with the company and you go through all of the stages. But this way, but you also pay more for that, right? Usually that upfront cost just to start the process of creating your own recipe starts at around like $5,000. And that's just creating it. You're not even talking about actually the units or the packaging and everything else that goes. So by having by the formulas being ours, that way you're just gonna come in, buy it, and then resell it on your own.
Great. So now that we know what private labeling is, we're going to talk a bit about why we're doing what we're doing and why would you trust us to create your products that you would resell to the customers and that customer base that took you so long to build. So one of the reasons why we're super passionate is, like I said before, we believe green beauty is here to stay. Wellness products is here to stay. I know many of us read trade magazines and we're on top of our articles and what's going on, what the experts are saying, all of the trend forecasting. As you know, these markets are only getting bigger. The beauty market, the green beauty market, the wellness market is only getting bigger. Customers are becoming more and more aware of what's going into their products, on their bodies, in their mouths, and they want things and products that they can trust. So at this point, formulating anything or selling a product, it really is in your best favor to create a product that is green and that's organic and that speaks to more of a wellness lifestyle. We would say that's crucial. Our mission is to really just bridge that gap between idea startup, mom and pop kitchen businesses and large scale beauty wellness businesses by offering this low minimum manufacturing solution in specifically the green beauty plant-based space. That would make us one of our, kind of like one of the first to do that. Specifically, we are definitely one of the few Black owned, female founded in this whole manufacturing private labeling arena, something that we're proud about. We knew as we started diving into this in the supply chain, Solange, I don't know if you want to have anything you want to talk about here, but when it comes to supply chain, that was something that was also severely lacking, is the amount of people of color you actually find in the supply chain and being able to work with those that are of color as well. So that was something that was really important to us as well, that not only are we on the customer facing side, but we're also starting to get a bit further into the supply chain side.
Yeah, absolutely. Just really quickly, there has been times where I've gone out of my way to try to find companies that are Black owned or, minority owned. And it's actually really hard, right? You can more so find them if they're selling necessarily maybe like raw ingredients, if we want those type of things, but people in the spaces of, making boxes, doing packaging, like doing all of those things, you really don't find anyone in those spaces. So I think it's important that we start to actually put ourselves in that space. And essentially that's what we're trying to do right now.
Awesome. So what are our services, just to recap? So we do the product categories that we're in currently is hair care, skincare, and body care. We're offering ready to go plant-based waterless formulations, pardon me. Our minimum order SKUs start at 100 units per SKU. We also offer sampling, so you can sample any of our products in advance. All of the products will be pre-packaged. All you simply need to do is add your label and any particular nuances that that's going to come along with your packaging. We're going to go over that in a second. Like we said, the lead time is about 4 to 8 weeks. Also, the order is packed in bulk and is either shipped to you directly or shipped to a distributor of your choice. If you were shipping straight to Amazon, for example, that is completely doable. Or it can be shipped directly to your home. If you were doing your own shipping from your kitchen table, that's also doable as well. And then here, we also offer products for bulk sellers as well. If someone just wants the actual product themselves and they plan on packaging it themselves and doing all the shipping themselves, we also offer that solution. So why us? Solange, you want to speak to?
Sure. So, like we saying, we went through a lot of the, trials and tribulations of trying to figure out this company. We started from our kitchen and living room, and that took over the whole apartment, just doing Bell Bar from the beginning, and then really was able to branch out and now have an actual space. And I've built out personally with these two hands, built out a full production and fulfillment space that we're doing everything in-house at this point. We have now our own commercial kitchen that we're using. And like I said, and just like everything is just set to our specific standards, so we can keep everything the way we want and in the way we want to essentially present ourselves to you, and the way you will be able to present it to your customers and things like that. So that's just been very important to us, and we make sure that it's important to you as well. As far as our recipes, like Tiana said, they all follow the same type of mission and values as our other company. And we don't have any, toxins, water preservatives. We don't have anything like that in our products, even the private label products. We keep it very, very green, very natural. And my mother has created, tons of recipes at this point, and we've just kind of like whittled down the best ones, and those are the ones that we're really promoting, and they've already been tested, and we're promoting those through private label right now. We were able to also expand more back into skincare because obviously right now Bell Bar is only focusing on hair care. So this way it gives us a little bit more leeway to offer all of our different wonderful recipes that we have for you guys.
Yeah. And what's also super important is that we have extremely great response from our current customers, the thousands of customers that we've had at this point over the last 4.5 years. We have about almost a 5 out of 5. I believe we are like 4.5 stars out of 5 stars when it comes to our reviews. We get extremely high reviews because of the fact that the product is plant-based, and because they're waterless, the product themselves is a little bit more concentrated, and people tend to see results a lot faster, and they're a lot happier with what they are actually utilizing on their skin and hair. So that is something as well. Like, not only have we figured out all of these processes, but we've also been able to craft a product that's unique and actually works, that works pretty quickly. So we talked a bit about this a few times here, right? So plant-based, dehydrated ingredients, non-toxic, preservative-free, cruelty-free. We didn't speak about vegan-friendly. I would say a good percentage of our products are vegan, if that's something that you're super passionate about and your customer base is really passionate about. And all of our products are fragrance-free. We do not add any fragrance in. Fragrance is not properly monitored by the FDA. So those can come with a lot of toxins and chemicals, and that's something that we did not want to put into the product. So the product themselves smell exactly like the ingredients, whatever that may be. So we go a bit into, now you might be asking, if it's private label and recipes themselves are standard and set. How do I set myself apart from everyone else? And really the answer is branding. The answer is branding when it comes to any business in any industry at any point these days. You need to be able to brand yourself and sell yourself as a unique company. One of the things that we're allowing you guys to do to your label is essentially we offer 2 different styles of labels. You're able to choose your logo, your artwork, put those on there, your brand name. Also, all of our recipes have many, many ingredients, but there are about 3 main ingredients in each particular recipe. And you're able to set yourself apart by choosing which main ingredients you would like for your recipe. For example, if it is a hair oil, maybe, and the hair oil itself has avocado oil, olive oil, ashwagandha, shea powder, all of these different things, you can name it, you know, shea powder, et cetera, or ashwagandha, et cetera, you know, really tapping into what your audience might be interested in. Or maybe your audience is not interested in something that exotic. Maybe they just want a rose oil or avocado oil. That is that's also something that you could do as well. We also have 3 different packaging options, clear glass, amber glass, and we also wanted to offer clear PET plastic. Solange, if you wanted to talk a little bit about the packaging options.
Packaging options are pretty standard. They're glass. It goes in line with what we already have products in, and we're not trying to put too much plastic out there into the world.
Solange, really quick, we can't hear you that well.
You can hear me?
Yes.
I was saying that we sell it in the glass jars. They come with white metal caps. Either the clear glass or the amber glass, and we put our own products in glass, and we want to really do some on plastic that is standard thing across the board.
Sorry to cut in, Solange. I think you're, it's been a little hard to hear you, but if anybody's not on mute, just go ahead and mute yourself. I think we're getting some background noise during the presentation. So if you're not on mute right now, just go ahead and mute yourself. Thank you.
Okay, how are we now? Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yes, it's much better.
Okay, great. Yes, so again, you know, clear glass, white caps. We have the amber glass that we're able to still sell it in. Those will also come with white caps. And then if need be, we also offer the plastic. So I'll just let us move along because I know we are kind of getting deep into time. So
okay, this here is how you can also personalize your particular jar. This here is a glass jar with that white cap. The brown jar is pretty similar to this, and then the plastic jar is also similar to this in look as well. All of this information for you is going to be in a catalog as well that we're going to give you a link to at the end of the presentation. We didn't want to load this presentation up because we know we're pressed for time, but you'll be able to kind of look at all of this stuff at your leisure after the call. So basically, these are the different areas where you would be able to do some personalized branding so that your product looks different than another product on the shelf. So we get into some of our product offerings. And for the sake of time, I'm probably going to go through skincare really fast because I know most of us here are hairstylists. So these are some of the products that we carry. Like we said, there's quite a few, just different masks and scrubs, oils, things of that. A lot of these things are also tested with what products the market are looking for, particularly in which areas that are most responsive and people tend to buy, like the particular bestsellers. So we also utilize some of our product market research when we were also creating which recipes we wanted to offer, as we wanted our clients to be successful. And then these skincare products can be used in a variety of ways, as, you know, face oil, serums, foot hand scrubs, bath salts, you know, foot hand butters, those kinds of things. I don't know if some of you guys might actually have a full service salon that also offers other services. So these things might actually work for you if you have that kind of setup. And then this here is an example of one of our skincare products. Exactly what you would use it for. This main ingredient here is where you would pull out which main ingredients you would want to focus on your label. For example, you see here the full ingredients recipe is charcoal, coconut oil, neem oil, red Moroccan clay, honey, lavender, kelp, and green tea. And then the main ingredients that we chose, which is actually a play off of, we pull it from product market research as well as the actual recipe themselves. And those are the top 3 ingredients that we've chosen. And you can pull one of those and basically that would be the name of your particular mask. So hair care. Right now we're focused on hair oils and hair butters. Those tend to be the highest sellers when it comes to waterless products. And hair oils especially tend to do really well because as you can use them in a variety of ways. These are the products, the hair care products that we're selling now. We're also working on a few expanding to our essentially product library. We'll be adding continuously throughout the year. And then we'll also be adding in a few more of these like limited edition products, things for like holiday season or things of that nature for people who want to do capsule collections or VIP gifts or things of that nature. You know, maybe you don't want to sell your product. Maybe you want to create a product and give it away as a way of customer retention after this hard year. You know, we're all battling to keep our customers as the market is changing. So maybe that's something that you're interested in. And that's something that you can utilize our small, low minimums to do. And then also brand it for yourself. So these are different ways that you can use these products. And then here's an example of one of the oils that we offer. As you can see, our ingredients, we offer a wide variety of ingredients. We also source our ingredients, which we didn't go over, domestically and internationally. Our ingredients come from all over the world. We tend to try to get the highest quality ingredient we can find, and we try to always get organic if we can get it. So this particular here is the exact same process as the other one, where here is the full recipe, and then you can also pull out a main ingredient that you would like to feature. This would be exactly what the bottle will look like that you would get if you chose that packaging. And it's about a 2-ounce bottle, and it holds about 2 ounces worth of oil. And then here's just some of the ingredients that we currently carry in these particular products: rose, ashwagandha, coconut milk, goat milk, charcoal, papaya, etc. And then a bit about pricing. I know everybody always wants to know exactly how much this will cost. So Solange, you want to speak about that a bit?
Yeah, sure. So there's many different ways that our pricing is broken down. We offer retail ready products. So those are products that they come in their individual packaging, they have their labels, they're ready to, sit on the shelf and for you to just sell. And those range from about $13 down to $7 a unit. Then we also have our retail ready bulk. So there's people who have maybe like a refillery or things like in that nature, or they're just using it for like, they just want a bigger amount. Those ones range from about $3.60 to $5.40 an ounce, right? Because obviously you're just using it as you would want to. Those ones also can still be, the labels can be customized because those are ready to be on the shelf as well, but just in bigger portions. And then we also offer back bar and bulk products, and those would range from $1.59 to $4.80 an ounce. So it all depends on the quantities that you're buying, so either the amount of units or the amount of ounces that you're purchasing, and which type of product that you are ordering. So like our oils, those come in 2 ounces. If you were getting a hair butter, those come in 4-ounce units, right? But then obviously if you're ordering them in bulk, it's just that bulk amount, that amount of ounces, and then that's what you're paying for. So it's a lot of different price breakdowns. It just depends on what you're trying to sell and how you're trying to sell it.
And in the catalog, we'll have a pricing guide. It has all of the different things to answer all of your questions around the particular pricing of the products, just to give you an idea of your initial investment. So your initial investment will be about 14 to 1500. But however, coming from Swivel, we will waive your initial setup fee. And that setup fee covers essentially setting up your account and all of the branding that needs to be done for your packaging, all of those things. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all in about 14 to 1500, right, Solange?
Yeah, and like I said, it does depend on which one that you're purchasing, because some of them is a little bit less than that. But yeah, and for that's the low minimum of about 100 units per SKU, right? So you're able to order multiple SKUs if you so choose, and maybe you're coming out with like a full collection, so you have like 3 products or so. You're able to do that. But again, each SKU itself is about like 100 units, or whatever that breakdown may be in ounces, depending on what you're ordering.
So moving right along, we get to hear the team. It's myself, my sister, and my mom, who's not actually on the call today, but it's the head of product development who actually makes all of the products. So we're getting to the second portion of the presentation. Essentially is, how do you actually sell, and in both ways, right? Like how you're going to market this thing, and then how you're going to get it out the door once you've sold it. So we're going to talk about the marketing first. I'll speak on that, and then my sister's going to follow up with some very important operations info for you to get this up and running. So, now that we're getting started, we have an amazing product. You need to sell it, right? 5 things to do to set up your marketing. These I kind of went in order of importance, but they, depending on your brand and depending on your customer, they may shift. Creating a customer avatar is very, very important. That just means who's your target audience. Many of you already, as stylists, already know who's coming to sit on your chair. You're having one-on-one conversations with them, which is actually amazing, right? You can't really get better information than that. You need to craft one particular person that you're speaking to, right? Take this as an exercise. You're going to create a bio for her, like create a story, give her a name or give him a name, where they shop, who, if they're married, if they're not, how much they make, all of these things. There are also resources online to help you. If you really just put it, how do I create a customer avatar? You can get some like really great information that kind of walks you through it like an exercise. But you're really going to need that information in order to craft all of your messaging, all of your branding, all of those things are going to be really, really important. When we started the business, Bell Bar Organic, we actually were able to take the business from our kitchen, aka kitchen/living room, to doing 7 figures in about 2 years by being focused on who we were selling to and what we were selling to them and what they wanted. So, and no, it seems like maybe I can just skip this. I would not skip that portion. I do it for every single campaign, every single new brand extension, all of those things. I create a customer avatar. Next would be deciding on your marketing mix, what methods of marketing you will use. I will say social media is a no-brainer that everyone has to have. Paid marketing is very difficult right now in the climate that we're in with COVID and the pandemic and the privacy policy issues and things going on with Apple and all of these different things. So I would say if you're going to go that route, make sure you test. You may also want to outsource and not do it yourself, as it's kind of a day-to-day combat situation, paid marketing, and you need someone who's really an expert in that space for you to get a return on your investment. The influencers, that community has really grown and evolved over the last few years. So it's not as easy as it once was of sending someone free product and they're going to post it. There's a lot of, contracts and payments and things of that nature. What's amazing about you guys, though, is that you are an influencer already. You're an influencer in your customer's life because you are their stylist. So I would utilize your own influence first before I would even reach out to other influencers by creating content, right? Whether it's videos that you can utilize of you doing someone's hair, or videos of you talking about hair, or any of those type of things, I would definitely look into that. Also, I would just say email marketing is really, really important. It's very important to capture people's information so that you can keep in touch with them. That's how you get someone to convert and become a part of your community and truly build a relationship with them, which is really what you want to do. That's what a brand is, building a relationship with someone. Next, I would say you need to create a marketing calendar. So like haphazardly sending out a text, an SMS, or a social media post, at 2:00 in the morning, things like that, that can work, for a very, very short time. One, it can burn you out because you're not really focused. And you're kind of just going at a whim. That can become very hectic depending on what kind of lifestyle you live. Also, too, it could be you're not going to get a lot of the results you want because you're not being efficient, and you're also not capitalizing on all of your other marketing efforts. So I would say in the very beginning, you can sit down once a month and do the next 30 days. As you start to sell more and more, you might want to sit and do a quarter at a time. So 3 months, 90 days at a time. And as you sell more and more, you might even push that back. You might be doing a whole year in advance. Obviously, things are fluid because the world is spinning and things are happening and you need to be responsive, but try to plan as much as you can. Okay, so I would try to plan at least 80% of the different marketing things you're going to have and leave about 20% for you to be responsive. Creating partnerships. Partnerships are one of the best ways to get off the ground, particularly if you don't have a lot of money. And I would say these days, whether you have money or no money, partnerships is really key. You find people that you want to work with, particularly those that have very similar audience or target customer as you, that you can partner up with and create something unique or something special, whether it's a particular offer, whether maybe, for example, you and another stylist want to co-create a private label product together or something like that. Just find a way to raise brand awareness and get the word out about who you are by partnering with like-minded people. I find that takes your business from 0 to 100 very quickly. That was one of our first strategies, and we still utilize it to this day. And then last but not least is like building your customer retention plan. Getting a new customer is hard, I'm sure, as you guys know, because you have your own businesses. Retaining a customer is really where is the name of the game. It's how you're going to actually scale your product line, is by retaining customers. So you need to make sure that you're keeping in touch with them. You need to make sure you're capturing their information. If you can build a community, any of the things that you can do to make them loyal to you is really going to really help you expand and build your business quickly. And last but not least is, creating this standout brand. So it's more than just a logo. It's more than just business cards. It's more than any of those things. It's a brand really is a relationship. So you really need to figure out overall who your brand is, who are they talking to, what do they want to say, what do they stand for, and where you would sell it. And that is really going to help you take your product line from the kitchen table to 7 figures or more, depending on whatever your goals are. So when you build your brand, there's a couple of assets that you need to make sure that you have. A branding guide is key. A lot of you guys might be one person shows, you're like, how am I going to do all of this? Plus I'm still doing hair, right? You need to have some sort of document that kind of lays out everything about your brand that you can hand to others, that easily communicates to them what your brand is and what it isn't. So that way they can create for you as well, and everything is streamlined. Also, the packaging is going to be really important, right? You want someone who picks up your packaging can right away be like, this is a luxury product, or this might be a more mass produced product, or this is an organic product, or this is a product for teenagers, or this is a product for older women, like the packaging really can set the tone for what you're trying to sell. And when I say product, not just the actual jar, but also how you're mailing it, the inserts that you choose to put in there, tissue paper, no tissue paper, all of those things are very, very important. Website aesthetic, your homepage, your product pages, etc. All of those tell a story. You need to spend time on putting your website together so that it really matches your overall branding. Websites that look like they haven't been updated, or they're not essentially clean or high end, tend to not convert as well with customers coming to purchase. Communication aesthetics, right? So what do your emails look like? What does your social media look like? These days, there are a ton of options to help you. Canva is one I can't say enough about. They even have the stock image library built in, so you don't even now need to look for multiple places to find stock images if you're not at the point where you're taking your own images as well. Copy just means, how do you speak to your customer? What are you saying? What is the tone of voice? Are you casual and fun? Are you more serious? Are you direct? Are you more of a big sister? Like, you really need to think that out, how you speak to them, and make sure you speak to them in that same tone all of the time so they get to really know you. Photography, how are you showcasing the products that you've purchased? Where you taking these images. These days, you could even do a lot with just a cell phone, just your iPhone, some amazing lighting, and some like simple minimalist decor. If that is your brand might be something different, but you can do a lot these days with photography. You can also send your products out to get photographed by a professional as well, without having to hire and rent a whole studio. So that's something you should really think about. And then the last is just your marketing assets, right? So these are the things that go in your packaging. These are going to be your signs that you might have in your salon. These might be takeaway information, postcards, buttons, anything like that. They all need to match. All of the branding needs to go together, right? Same logo, same font, same colors, same story. So that way people can really get to know your brand, and you can get what is gold. The one thing you can't pay for, word of mouth. So that is my suggestions off of like how you can launch and scale and sell your actual products. So from here, I believe Solange had some information on operations, and I'll let her jump in.
Yes. So, I mean, operations, it's a heavy undertaking, and it's a lot that goes into it. So I'm just going to focus briefly on some of the things that you should do or should have when you're starting the business, especially if it's product based. And then I'm going to try to spend a little bit more time than that on the fulfillment, how to do fulfillment with your products, right? So you could go to the next one.
Sorry, Solange, not to jump in, but do you mind just speaking a little bit louder? Just want to make sure everyone can hear you.
Okay, I'll try to speak up. I was saying that with operations, it's a heavy undertaking. It's a lot that goes into it. So for this, I'm just going to focus very briefly on when you're starting your business, some of the things that you just want to look into, and some of the things that you should have. And then I'm going to focus a little bit more time talking about the fulfillment side of it, because I know that's actually very important, and there's a lot of things that go into it, and it can be very confusing. So just the basics of when you're starting the business, registering your business and making sure you're registering the right type of business. And then if you're going to have your LLC or your S Corp or whatever it may be, if that's not the name you're going to go by, also make sure you're registering your DBA. So all of this is happening with, your state. There's other things that you have to register with your city. If you're unsure, you can always go on the SBA website, the Small Business Administration website, and they have like a lot of information there and all of the steps that you need and all the steps that you should follow. There's also other companies that you can do this with, and they'll do all like the heavy lifting and the paperwork and sending it to the courts and things like that. And you're just paying them, obviously you're paying them a fee for this, rather than you're just paying for whatever you're registering for. So just take a little bit of research for that. You obviously want to apply for an EIN. And once you've done those things and you've registered your business, you have your EIN, open up your bank account, get a sales tax ID number. This is obviously if you're selling products, you're going to need that, because if you're collecting taxes, you're going to need to send that off quarterly. And whatever specific licenses and permits that you may need, depending on your location, the business, whatever function you have. You know, if you're doing like a pop-up, right, those need particular types of insurance. And obviously, if you're just selling your space, you always want to at least make sure you have general liability insurance, and also try to get product insurance as well. Because obviously things can go wrong, maybe you have a recall, you know, whatever it is, you want to make sure you have those plans in place, and you also have insurance so that it doesn't just all fall on you. Next one, Tia. Next part that is extremely important is setting up your accounting platforms and essentially your accounting team, if you're even going to have one, or if you can have one. QuickBooks, I mean, a lot of people are using QuickBooks right now. I find it we use it as well, and I find it to be the simplest option. Yes, you can start off just using an Excel spreadsheet, you know, if that's how you are tracking everything. But you know, QuickBooks isn't necessarily that expensive, and I would say it will be better to have it in the long run rather than not have it now and then still having to input all that information in there after the fact. The next key piece is to find a good CPA, right? So that's an accountant. You want to have a very good accountant, and then you also want to have a bookkeeper, right? So the bookkeeper is doing the either weekly or monthly reconciliation of your books. That's just like, you know, whatever's coming in, whatever's going out, they're just matching everything up, making sure it's okay. And then your CPA is there for actually filing the taxes, your yearly business taxes, and then your quarterly sale tax reports to the IRS. So you want to make sure you're doing that, and that's not getting piled up, and because then obviously penalties and fees and things like that are gonna start piling up on you. You're gonna go through, or you could end up going through a couple of bookkeepers or CPAs and accountants and things like that. It's fine. We've gone through a few until you really get the right fit for you, and kind of understands your company, your brand, what you're trying to do, and someone who's kind of in the trenches with you and willing to, you know, kind of go hard for you depending on what your needs are. So, you know, it's fine if you don't get it right, just, you know, keep searching. There's many different options, virtual ones, and then there's also ones that you could find in person, maybe in your area or something like that. And of course, if you're gonna have actual employees now, then you wanna make sure you have the different types of like insurance, the workers' comp, disability, unemployment. You don't wanna not have those, because then you get audited and it's a whole nother situation. So that's really what I want to say about like just starting the business and having those initial things squared away. Okay, so fulfillment is extremely important. Coming up with the plan and the process for how you're going to fulfill your products. It may take some time. You may have to, you know, do it a couple of times, but I'm telling you, it is so important to the logistics side of selling these products, because things that you may not think about, can greatly impact, you know, the customer experience, you really getting things out of the door when you expect to, just your business in a whole. It can just strongly affect it. So, you know, starting off with having your plan and how you're going to even handle your fulfillment. There are 3PLs, which is a third party logistics. That's you're sending your products off to a fulfillment center, distribution center, and they're fulfilling your orders for you, and then they're shipping it out. So you're not actually seeing anything or handling those types of things. You're just sending it off to somebody else. But then obviously you have to be extremely on top of that company to make sure that they're sending out the right things. They're not breaking things, like all of that. You have to be, have a very good, at least account manager over there, and you're constantly checking in because you don't know what's going on. Then the other option is doing fulfillment in-house. and doing everything on your own and send everything out. So that's how we started. For the purpose of this, I'm going to go through it as if you're doing in-house fulfillment and processing. Okay, so first things, shipping platforms. You know, how do you plan on processing and recording your order information? You can be collecting manual orders. I know people have done that. You're getting orders through IG, through email, you're taking them over your phone and things like that. And then you're processing the shipment that way. Either you have a website that has shipping capabilities, such as like Shopify, right? So we use Shopify, you're able to place your order there. You're also able to fulfill from Shopify if you so choose to. They have those type of capabilities. Then there are fulfillment platforms, which we have used as well. And this is software that you can connect to your website, or you can just use it standalone, where you're inputting your information, your order information into that software, and then it links out to the different shipping providers, and you're able to handle everything all in one space. So there's many different ways that you can choose to go about that. And it all depends on what works for you, right? If you only have a few orders and you find manual is fine, you could do it that way, but you just have to be very careful that you have all of your information there. You're not like mixing anything up, or you're not sending the wrong things, because, you know, you're just doing really just like looking and doing it on your own with no really checks and balances. The next important thing is your packaging. So I know Tiana spoke before about, you know, your labels, your inserts and things like that. All of that is super important, but also to think about packaging in another way, to think about what size boxes that you're choosing, the cushioning materials that you have, where are you sourcing your packaging from, what the thing, and then the items that you would need in order to do your fulfillment, such as printers and scales and things like that. So as far as shipping, they actually charge you more based off of size rather than weight, right? So obviously if something is super heavy, it's gonna cost a certain amount, but just think of it like this: you can have multiple size boxes and the price would basically be the same between 1 and 5 pounds, right? So like I could sell something, this person is selling it for 5 pounds, I'm selling a product that weighs 5 pounds, I'm selling something that's only 1, and we're technically paying the same price, right? So you really need to make sure you're not shipping a bunch of air products, and you're not just like wasting space, because then now you'll continue to just waste money. And on top of that, then you have to think about how you're cushioning it. You know, are you using bubble wrap? Are you using tissue paper? You know, whatever type of product it is, you just have to be very mindful, because, you know, the shipping companies, they're going to throw your boxes around. Like they're definitely going to throw your boxes around. So you want to think about what it's going to look like by the time it gets to the customer, because you don't want them to open up their box and however long they've waited for this, and then not everything is broken, right? So you have to be very mindful of the type of packaging that you're going to choose. And you also want to do a couple of drop tests. I know we've done that here, where we put it in the bubble wrap, and I've dropped things and they've broken, and then we just know like, okay, we have to either add more or do different things on how we package it. So just be very mindful about that. Okay, so the next important thing is your shipping providers, right? So like, how do you plan on shipping it? Are you shipping locally? Are you shipping internationally? Are you shipping nationally? All of those things are very important to choose which provider that you want. There are local couriers that you can always sign up with. Those aren't very, they may not be well known, but you know, they may be cheaper depending on where you're shipping to. They may offer different types of, incentives to ship with them. You know, you just want to think about all of those different types of things, depending on where you're shipping to. Maybe if you're shipping to California, obviously, you know, we're in Brooklyn. If you're shipping to California, maybe it's usually cheaper if you ship FedEx to California. But then when you're using Brooklyn, you're using just the USPS. And then if you're shipping internationally, like when sometimes we ship to Canada, DHL is sometimes a consistently cheaper option. So there's no need to be loyal to any courier or any shipping provider, whatever benefits you and whatever is the cheapest, that makes the most sense for you. Always do that. You always want to be mindful of pickups and drop-offs, holiday schedules, try to find somebody. I don't know if it's in the post office, get someone's number, one of the drivers, if that's your local driver, so you guys can build a rapport. Then you know that they're going to pick up for you and all those types of things. Just really think about that when you're considering who you're going to ship with. You go to the next one. Okay, and most importantly is creating an organized and thought out fulfillment process, right? So you want to have maximum efficiency in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of steps. I have done this many times. It's very important. I've been in here and I've counted my steps, like, okay, it takes me 4 steps to pick this one and then to come back, right? You want to really think about all of that. Obviously, if you're not in a big facility and you're doing this out of your home, out of your shop, that's fine, but you're organizing your inventory where your highest selling products are the most accessible to you, right? Because you don't want to have to, you're constantly selling out, let's say your hair oil, but it's always in the back. So now you're constantly wasting time because you got to either move things, you got to, go and dig for it. You don't want that. You want it to be as accessible as possible so you can do it as quickly as possible. Constantly need to record your product inventory levels. What you don't want to do is sell things that you don't actually have, especially if it's not something that you can get quickly, right? Because then that's just going to cause angry customers and, you're out of stock and you don't want to do that. So you constantly want to manage and monitor your inventory. And I would say do that monthly, depending on how much inventory you have. Maybe you're doing it weekly. It just really depends on what you're selling, how often you're selling it, and how you want to set up your process flow. But making sure you're recording these numbers so you know what you're actually selling, what's going out, because things can break. You think you have things in inventory, maybe they're broken, maybe they stole, they got lost in the mail, or you've given some away for marketing materials. So you always just want to know what you actually have. Next is the picking and packing process. So again, this is, are you printing out each packing slip? Are you doing it paperless where you're scanning? Maybe your products have barcodes on them and you're scanning them into that system. There's that type of process. Again, like I said, using your printers and just doing all of it, all the things, right? You just need to make sure you know how you want to do it, depending on the type of software you're going to have. Again, if you're doing it manual, like all of these things have to take into consideration of like how you're going to do your pick and pack process so that it makes sense for you, right? Everybody is not going to be the same, but how it makes sense for you and what's the most efficient. Next. Yeah, so again, always leave room for error. Things gonna go wrong, things are gonna break. You're constantly gonna be on the phone with customer service, trying to figure out what's going on with the different systems that you have or the people that you have put in place. Like all of these things are going to constantly break down, and you just have to be able to, again, adapt, pivot, fix whatever bottlenecks are causing you issues, right? So if by doing all of these processes, you'll realize like, oh, okay, when I do this one particular thing, it's taking me, 3 times as long as all these other things. How can I fix that? How can I change that, right? So just constantly figuring those out, always having quality controls in place, right? Like if you're doing all the picking and packing yourself, then it's like, okay, what's the process? I have my packing slip, I've picked my items. Am I now gonna like check them off on a packing slip so I know that the things that are going in there are the correct items, right? You always wanna make sure you're not just picking it once and then like shipping it out, because that could end up being a complete disaster, right? As far as the process, I kind of laid out a little bit of a process, how my brain worked and how I set up my space, where I would have my packing station, where that's your table, right? And then the product space. So you want your products to actually be close to where your packing station is, then your cushioning materials and your boxes and everything that comes into play of like actually packaging the products up, and then your scale, right? So all of that is kind of like in a flow. So it just feels very like natural, very organic. You're not constantly running back and forth trying to do this multiple things and touching the products multiple times just to ship it out once, because then that's how you're losing time and losing money that way, right? So again, that process where you have all your things laid out, when you plan on shipping it out, how you're going to have the pickups done, and then having a designated place for those pickups. And so your courier either knows where to come and get them, or you're always mindful of like, okay, these are for UPS, these are for DHL, these are for the post office, right? So you're not, because you don't want to get those mixed up, because they'll just send it back to you and then you got to do it all over again, right? So just be very mindful and very intentional about how you lay out your space. So it's organized for your mind, not for anyone else, but organized for your mind, and it makes sense, and it's an easy flow, and it's efficient. Go on to the next one. Again, just evaluating your process, your shipping spend. Again, this will take into account the boxes that you're using, where you're shipping to, the type of packaging that you have, right? So you want to constantly reevaluate these things, if not monthly, quarterly, however you decide that you need to do it, because you could be wasting money in areas that you're not realizing, because it just seems like you're getting enough out of it, but then you're not. So you really want to be very mindful of that. Then again, order processing time is something you want to constantly evaluate, which is the time between the order being placed and then the time that it's actually been processed and picked, or and then ready to go out. And then delivery times, right? So if you're constantly using the post office, and when you send it to a particular location, it takes 7 days, but then if you use DHL, it only takes 5 days, or it takes 3 days, right? But it costs a little more. What makes sense for you, right? Are you going to get more customers because it's shipping out faster, so you're going to use DHL and you have a higher cost there, right? But then you have customers that are returning, or you're going to use something that it takes a longer time, but then it's cheaper for you. So it just has to make sense for everything that you're doing, and then constantly evaluate your order accuracy, right? So you want to know your percentage of correct orders versus orders that have missing, wrong, damaged, all of those types of orders. Because then if something is constantly broken or missing, then you're spending more money on shipping because you have to reship it, or you're shipping something that you didn't have to, that should have already been in a box. So you want to evaluate, why is this happening? When does this happen? Maybe it's a conversation with someone that's working for you. Maybe there's a miscommunication in the process on their end. So you just constantly want to evaluate all of these things monthly, and it's okay to be wrong. We all get it wrong until we get it right, and it's only right until it's wrong again, and then you change it again. So I have changed it. I have changed my process so many times, and it's, all I can do is work with the information that I have at the time, and then constantly perfect on that. That's really just doing the best that you can, right? So next one. Right, so yeah, a couple of minutes. And again, evaluating the pick and pack times. Like I was talking about before, maybe there's a bottleneck, maybe there's a situation where you think you can ship things out in a certain amount of time. Maybe you have to block out certain times that are your shipping times in the day, right? So you have those separate than your regular business hours, so you can really just focus on that, and you're able to get your orders out to your customers when they expect to have it. You want to know about your cost of labor, right? And then you're an employee. So to do that, it's a simple formula, right? You want to evaluate your employee rate of pay per hour. And I know this might be a little much. You can always just Google this too, or we can share it. It'll be your employee rate per hour, even if that's yourself, right? Divided by 60 minutes. You will multiply that by the total pick and pack time. So again, you're timing everything that you do, right? So if I know I'm about to ship this order out, I'm setting up my computer, I'm timing myself on how long it takes to pull up that order. When I go and actually grab the products, once I bring it back and I set it down, right? So that's your picking. And then you do another time for your packing, which is how long it takes to actually box it up, tape it up, put that shipping label on it. That is your total pick and pack time, right? So when you multiply those two together, that's going to equal your cost of labor per order. You're trying to keep that number low, right? Because you don't want to be selling a product for, $10, let's say that's the case, and then your cost of labor just to ship it out, because it takes so long, is like $8. So now you're losing money, right? So we want to be very mindful of everything that we're doing, how we're doing it, and constantly just, optimize as best as you can. So that's all.
Yeah, that was awesome. I just to put a button on that, and to get into Q&A, how you price your products and really paying attention to your margins is so key. We did not have a handle on that for about the first year and a half, I would say, Solange, almost 2 years, right? And we just didn't know our numbers well. And then you end up losing money in certain areas and you have no idea. So it's really, really important that you are really including all of your costs, time, your operational costs, how much it costs to run the website, what are those credit card processing fees, how much it costs to run that Facebook ad, what did you pay the influencer, how much the tissue paper costs, all of those things, you need to put those in there to make sure that you're selling the product at a price that it makes it worth it for you. Because at the end of the day, even though we all have a mission, we all want to share, the joy that we have inside of us in many, many different ways. We're also in this too, to create, monetary benefits for ourselves and for our families, So it's just really important that you take the time and do all of the pricing and the costing. We didn't really get deep into that because that is a whole other kit and caboodle, projections and all of those kinds of things. And so we just wanted to touch lightly on some things that we knew were crucial, things that we've learned over the last 4.5 years that really impacts the bottom line right away. We wanted to touch those things. So I think we're gonna stop sharing now. This deck, we'll be emailing it to you after the fact, so don't worry, so you can go through it at your leisure. We're also going to drop in a link to the catalog, so you can also go through that. In there, you'll also find how to place samples, how to, our emails, if you want to email and talk to us, any of those different things, all of that will be there, pricing guide, everything. I'm actually going to drop that in while we speak, but in the meantime, if we can open it up to if we have any questions right now. What we said earlier in the beginning, I know we had some people jump on, some people jump off, is that if you have a question, you can utilize the reaction feature at the bottom, and there's a little hand, and you can press the hand and we'll know if you have a question. If not, we don't have any live questions. We actually do have some questions that you guys submitted in advance, and we can move forward with those as well. So I'll give you guys about a minute, and then we can jump into the questions that we have. Oh, I see we have a question. So I'm going to unmute you, okay? Frida? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're live.
Hi, ladies. Thank you so much for this. It's been super informative. One of my questions was, I know that you guys you mentioned the things that you will initially be private labeling. At some point, do you see yourselves doing the tea rinses? I'm a loctician, and those are huge with my clients, the tea rinses and that. And I know you guys do cleansers, but specifically the tea rinses.
Yes, we actually are working right now. We're expanding, we're doing certain things right now. So that will be, we're looking into doing that as well, because we do know that is something that that does well on our side, and we wanted to be able to offer it on that side. Because some of our things were direct competitors to what we were doing, we were changing and looking into how we can do the recipes so that way we can offer it as well to our private clients without cannibalizing on BBO.
Okay. Can I ask more than one question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I know that you guys said 4 to 8 weeks average for turnaround. Let's say somebody ordered today, and they did a minimum investment of $100. Does it continue to be 4 to 8 weeks? So would one have to sort of anticipate, all right, I'm probably going to need another 100 units by August, so I need to order that now as well? Will the turnaround continue to be the same?
I'm gonna let Solange jump in. Just unmute yourself, Solange.
I'm not mute.
Okay.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
It would really depend on the product that you're ordering. So
Okay.
try to create everything, they're created fresh, right? So you're paying upfront for the products, for the 100 units. So it wasn't $100, but it was for the 100 units that you're starting off with. And you're paying for those, and then we're going through the process. It will be shorter because we're not going through, let's say if it's retail ready, we're not going through changing artwork, creating, all of those back and forth conversations. It's really going straight into, okay, I'm purchasing your ingredients, and then I'm preparing it, and it's going out the door, right? So it just really would depend. But for the most part, it shouldn't take as long every time. The thing about it is, depending on how many people we have in the queue, that might be what may push it back a little further. Right, but we're trying to do it. We were always trying to do it within that 4 to 8 weeks. But if we have, already 10 people already signed up for our production time, then we wouldn't be able to just kind of like push you ahead of everybody. It would really depend on what's going on in the production side.
So I would say just plan to stay within that 4 to 8 week window, just kind of like plan in advance. So that way your personal business is not affected, right? So that way you can manage your own inventory.
Okay. And then last question, which I think you pretty much answered it, but just to be clear, if I order today, are you guys ready to rock and roll for the 4 to 8 weeks, or would it be a few weeks after setup and everything happens?
So that 4 to 8 weeks includes the setup time, right?
Okay.
One, you have to think, if let's say you order today, you're first going to start off ordering the samples, right?
Right.
So you want to order the samples, you're going to want to test it. So that right there is already going to take a certain amount of time so you feel comfortable, or you've decided which one you actually want. And then do the second process of actually ordering now either the bulk or the individual products. Again, we offer sampling. We have 3-unit samples, we have 10-unit samples, and with either one you're able to choose any product that we have to sample. So you're not just like locked in like, oh, I have 3 but I only could choose oils, right? You could choose like any that we have. And then we've also introduced a back bar sample option, which is essentially a large bulk jars, 32 ounces, and you're able to just order that, right? Because maybe you're not selling it individually, but you're just using it on your customers and your clients. So we have those 3 options available.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Did anyone else have a question live, or should I go to the questions that you asked in advance? I see here people were asking, there was quite a few questions around cost, financing, I guess, essentially. When we started the business, we essentially took our personal savings and utilized that. And we started off in the home. So we were able to like cut out a lot of costs by making and manufacturing everything ourselves. We were lucky to have essentially a herbalist on the team that was able to make all of the products for us without having to incur that separate cost. So that really, worked in our favor. But there are a couple of different things that you can utilize to help you along with the cost. One, which is has been great, is if you build your website on Shopify. Shopify does offer financing. And financing your inventory, we have found, has been a great way to help you scale your business faster, right? Utilizing it and actually getting product and then selling that product is really a great way. Once you've tested and know that your market actually wants whatever you're going to sell. So utilizing Shopify financing would be a great way, I would say. Also too, with the fact that we're using low minimums, it really does allow you to make a smaller investment. Your investment is not 25,000, it's, it's closer to 15 for per SKU. So that helps a lot on the cost. Solange, do you have any other particular thoughts on financing?
So the same way she was talking about the Shopify financing, I know we've utilized this in the past as well. PayPal, if you have your business set up on there, PayPal also offers financing that you can get. And then of course it's, the grants and all those type of things that you kind of like have to really do your research on and try to find something that can fit with you and, maybe your clientele or the type of business owner that you are. Because there are certain things that are out there for, Black owned businesses, women owned businesses and things like that. So I would
Also
look
to really, really key, pre-order. Pre-order is a great model to use. A lot of you guys have built-in client bases. You can say, hey, I'm launching my own product line in 2 months. Maybe you get the website up first, or maybe you're not even taking it through a website at this point. Maybe you're taking it through IG. There's certain different softwares now that you can accept payment through without having to set up a full website. So maybe you're doing it that way. And essentially they're prepaying for this product before you've even made it. And then you can deliver it after you've received the money. You just need to be very clear about what your timelines are and what they're getting. So make sure you think through the entire process before you launch anything for pre-order, because the last thing you want is to get in a situation where people don't get what they expect. But pre-order is a great way. It's essentially what Kickstarter does, but you don't need to do it on Kickstarter. You can do it on your own. So that was kind of a bit on financing. Financing is a large conversation, and I know a lot of people of color, we don't have a lot of access to capital. A lot of it for us is just hustling. So those are some of the tools that we've used in the past to essentially keep the business running, and until we could have reinvest our profits back into the business. I also see here, someone's asking around finding the right product. To touch a bit on that before, we're talking about doing product market research is really key. One of a great tool that you can use is utilizing Google. So, when you go on Google, you type in, and Google has suggestions for you. Those suggestions, as well as the suggestions on the bottom, are what people are searching for the most. So if you are like typing in, hey, tea rinses for those with locks, right? Google might auto finish that for you and be like, someone's looking for a tea rinse that has green tea. People are looking for tea rinses like that. That's a great way to kind of see where the market is. A very simple, fast, easy way. If you want to get more in depth, I would utilize YouTube comment sections. You can really get in deep into what the market is looking for based on a video. You might want to watch a video around, thinning edges, and then you see what people are chatting about and be like, okay, there's a need here. I can fulfill something here. Also, since most of you guys have a built-in community, reaching out to them, putting them in some sort of community group or a Facebook group, or sending out an SMS and asking them to text you back like, hey, what are you looking for? Sending out a survey, utilizing something like Survey Monkey, which you can then create a link and send it out and get back responses, So there's different ways to go about it, which is, essentially using tech and software and those kind of tools, and then other ways of just, speaking to people, but doing it in a way that's more scalable than just talking to 1 or 2 people. I would also avoid friends and family as much, because they don't tend to really reflect the target audience most of the time. So I would really try to get to that target audience. After you built that customer avatar, you'll know who to ask, and you know where to find them. So we have about 5 minutes left. Solange, do you have any further thoughts before we wrap up?
Just want to say that, one, thank everybody for even coming here and, taking the time to listen to us. And, it's been a long road on our end, and, it's still going and trying new things and constantly doing new things. And, just feel good about the fact that we're able to offer this to other people as we've learned it and went through a lot of the hardships on our own, that I'm able to do this manufacturing and do this fulfillment for you guys. Do send it out to you guys. So we're here. Again, she's going to share the information in the catalog and the email and stuff like that. So you can definitely reach out. Again, if you're ordering the samples, that's a great way to just start off and test out the products and see how interested you are in it. I mean, I use it. I know, Fiona uses it. So get a lot of great feedback. And so, hopefully we'll hear from you guys and everything goes all well.
So just so everybody knows, I've dropped the link to the catalog inside of the Zoom chat, as well as our private email for this inside of the Zoom chat. We'll be following up with everyone via email as well, with the link to the webinar, the link again to the catalog, as well as the discount code per se that you can use to waive the onboarding fee from coming through Swivel. So we thank you once again for coming. This was great. It was really nice to meet all of you, and good luck with your businesses. So glad that you guys are still going strong. I know last year was super, super brutal and a tough time, but we hope coming out of that, everybody's able to pivot or grow or start fresh or fall back in love, any of the things that they were doing with their businesses and what they want to do next. So so we're here. Feel free to DM us, email us, reach out to us on social media, and we'll talk to you soon. Once again, we just want to thank Jihan for giving us the platform to talk to you guys. And if you're interested more in this topic, just let her know, and we can see if we can put something else together for you guys. But thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.